What is up, everybody? Thanks for joining me on another episode of Moving to Sarasota. This one, we're talking all about red tide. What is it? What can you do about it, if anything? How can you plan around it? All that stuff and more coming right up after this. Alright, everybody, so thanks again for joining me on another episode of Moving to Sarasota. Really appreciate you guys being here. If you could do me a favor, go ahead and smash that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this content and the other videos I've made. Really helps me out, helps grow the channel. Also, if you are thinking of possibly moving to the area or you already live here, go ahead and join. Click the link in the description below our Facebook group. Awesome community, like I've said in the other videos, 7,000 members right now, constantly questions being asked, advice being given, just a really great community of everybody, helping each other, new people coming in, they can relate to each other, go off of other people's experiences, talk to locals, ask me questions, really anything you need to know about the area, we probably have you covered in there, so go ahead and join the Facebook group, and without further ado, let's start getting into this red tide stuff. So first and foremost, what is red tide? Red tide is basically an algae bloom that happens, it's naturally occurring, it's been happening for a long time, decades and decades, pretty much since they've been really studying marine biology. Red tide has been occurring. Red tide happens everywhere around the nation, but it's predominantly here on Florida's Gulf Coast. It's really just a toxin and a very, very small bacteria that is in different seagrasses, and it pretty much contaminates everything, makes shellfish not really safe to eat in the area, and then ends up killing fish in the area because it is toxic to them. So you see all these dead fish wash up, and you have different theories by people in multiple arenas. They're not sure exactly what it comes from. They're not sure if it's accelerated by different things like the Piney Point situation, if you've heard of that, or you got Big Sugar down in the Lake Okeechobee area, in that basin down there, a lot of sugar cane that, they do dump quite a bit of runoff that has fertilizers, etc. in the water. So it has been proven that different, phosphates and fertilizers and stuff like that do kind of increase or further facilitate the algae bloom's growth. However, it hasn't really been a significant finding per se, so a lot of that's kind of up in the air. However, this time of year, out on our barrier islands, from Anna Maria all the way down to Venice here in the Sarasota area, we definitely get red tide. Some years are worse than others. Like 2017 to 2019 was pretty rough, had a really big fish kill, ended up protecting a lot of the species that are, usual favorites for game fish like snook, redfish, trout. They had just started to come back to be able to be, harvested instead of just catch and release. That was this past May, but now probably gonna be back under those regulations. We're not really sure, but so essentially red tide is naturally occurring, but not good for us, and hopefully we can get it under control here pretty soon. So now, how bad really is red tide? It's not that bad for you as a normal human, as long as you're not out in it on a constant basis, or you don't have any, predisposed issues like asthma or any sort of respiratory type of stuff going on. It's called a HAB, which is a harmful algae bloom, and they are known to be toxic to people. But in general, you can swim, you can be out on the Keys, you can be out on the beach, if you can tolerate the smell and all that. But there are, potential health risks while doing that. It's kind of like at your own risk type of thing, because there's, potential for different bacterias that are in the water with those toxins that, could result in you being harmed. And then also, like I said, the respiratory stuff. If you're out on Siesta Key or something like that, when the red tide's really bad, back in some of those canals, you can kind of feel it in your throat, in your lungs, if you're out there for a couple hours. So, that's all at your own risk. Different people have different tolerances. I've born and raised here. I am very used to red tide. It's happened a lot over the past, 25 years that I've lived here. So even when I was a little kid, I was used to it. I could smell that fish smell, the algae smell, and over time I've gotten pretty used to it. So it doesn't really affect me that much, but I know people, like I have friends who visit, they come down when there is red tide, and they're out there for 15-30 minutes or whatever, and they're like, man, I gotta go inside, like this is terrible. So it's really a kind of a broad spectrum of how bad red tide really is, because to some people, it's never fun for anybody, but for some it's not that big of a deal, and for others they're like, nah, no way, I hate this is terrible. So that's kind of how bad it is, or how dangerous it is. So now we'll talk about, like, can you do anything to prevent it? Can you mitigate it? What can you do if you're here on vacation, or you just moved here and you want to go to the beach, but there's red tide? Like, what do you do? Really, it's naturally occurring, so there's nothing that we can really do to mitigate it or make it better. Really, the best thing we can do is report it to, they always are tracking it, whether it's NOAA or Mote Marine or the local news stations or the local weather and oceanic people. Everybody's tracking it, so this time of year they know for the most part where it is. They don't know exactly where it always originates from. Like this specific time, it kind of crept down towards us from Tampa Bay. Sometimes it comes up from Lemon Bay, like I said, that kind of feeder from Okeechobee and the Caloosahatchee, that potential fertilizer stuff coming up from Lemon Bay. That's kind of the usual progression. However, this time, like I said, it was from Tampa Bay, but there's really nothing we can do to, mitigate it. What you can do is plan for it, so if you know that it's happening and you have a vacation scheduled next week, well, you might want to take the beach, not totally off your list, but, if you're going to do 3 or 4 beach days, maybe go to the beach 1 or 2 days and take those other 2 days to experience some other local attractions, like, the Ringling Museum or Mote Marine, or, maybe go out to a round of golf, or, there's a bunch of different options that you can kind of make the best of your trip still and not have it totally be ruined by red tide. But really the only thing that we can do is kind of sit back and wait for a storm to come, or a series of thunderstorms and rain to come through to decrease the salinity in the water. And once that salinity drops, it usually helps kill the toxins a bit, and you can kind of get back into that normal, healthy water column, instead of it being, that blood red that you see out in the bay with the algae blooms just kind of running rampant and killing all these fish and stuff. So with that being said, pretty much covered all the bases here as far as what red tide is, how it maybe happens, different things that, can make it happen. But aside from all that, how about what we're going to do now is hop out to Siesta Key and actually do an update. We're going to walk around a little bit and, give you guys a feel for what it looks like out there right now, and then we'll actually head down to the actual beach itself, take a look at what the current situation looks like there, and just kind of give you an overall update. Alright guys, so we are now out here at the public beach on Siesta Key. As you can see,
Gotten quite a bit of rain the past few days. So that's kind of part of the smell too, but can definitely, sense that red tide smell. Can kind of feel it in your throat a little bit. Um, Not a great beach day in general, but just to give you guys an idea, this is kind of what it looks like sometimes when there's red tide present. The water just doesn't really look the right color, and we'll go check out down there what the fish kill situation looks like, if there's anything. Sarasota County spent the last couple days supposedly cleaning some stuff up, so we'll see what that looks like right now. I'll give you a closer look. All right, so now I am about halfway down the beach. Wind's definitely picked up. I can smell it a little stronger. Right off the blue lifeguard stand here, you see you got blue, green, red, yellow. So I'm about 400 yards or so to the right of where the public beach pavilion is out here on Siesta. I'm still making my way down towards the water. Gonna see, if there are any dead fish washed up still, or new ones that I can see in the surf or anything like that. But as you can see, waves are rolling pretty good. Only got a few people out in the water, a couple strong swimmers, but I mean, these waves are definitely rolling good. All right, so now that we're down here, you can clearly see that there are quite a bit of dead fish down here, but some good signs that I see, they're not a lot of big fish. So as it makes its way up the food chain, it's kind of a good sign that it's getting worse, and it's killing more and more species. So although, it's not good that any dead fish are washed up, the fact that they're, mostly smaller, uh, that's usually a good indication that it's not necessarily working its way all the way up the food chain and becoming a serious problem for our ecosystem. Because although, like I said, these small fish are dead, there are millions and millions of these smaller fish, and their populations can really easily be replenished. So just, basically got to hope that, this kind of turbulent weather, waves, rain, wind, some storms push through from the Gulf. You just kind of hope that slowly but surely over the next couple weeks that, it can kind of push these algae blooms out of here and we'll get back to normal. This is really the stuff you just hate to see. Um, as an avid boater and fisherman here down in Sarasota and Florida in general, snook are one of our prized species, an awesome fish to catch, a lot of fun, really important to our ecosystem here. And as you can see there, that was a pretty big snook that unfortunately fell victim to red tide. So that's kind of what we want to prevent and, do whatever we can to try to, you know, not contribute to red tide or anything that might accelerate it or make it worse. But again, there's not really a whole lot we can do. Just kind of wait back and hope that Mother Nature kind of takes care of it. But that's unfortunate to see, obviously, that big fish. But all right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up here. But hope you guys learned a little bit from this. And, although it's kind of a or sad or unfortunate video. Just another educational piece. Part of living here is we do have, cons as well. It's not all sunshines and beach days. All right, everybody. So thank you guys again for, tuning in. Another episode here, moving to Sarasota. Although it's a little bit of a sad one, unfortunate. Red tide is just a natural phenomenon here in Sarasota. It does happen. It's going to happen probably every year, every couple years at least. Want to make you guys aware of it, make you informed, educate you as much as I can, and just give you that local knowledge. So again, thank you guys for tuning in. You can hit that like button and subscribe. Would really appreciate it. Helps me out, helps grow the channel. Additionally, if you do want more information on Sarasota, Bradenton, just this whole area in general, talk to some locals, talk to some other people in your shoes who are in the research phase, or maybe they already moved here. Go ahead and click the link in the description below. Join our Facebook group, Moving to Sarasota Bradenton area. It's an awesome group of people. Won't regret it. Definitely join. And lastly, if you are looking to make the move, you actually want to take the plunge or just have any questions for me, I'm a real estate agent here in Sarasota. Would be happy to walk you through the whole process or answer any questions for you. And look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode.